KGW News at 5.
Well, there are now confirmed Omicron cases in all 50 states and D.C. This is what health experts expected. The first reported case was in San Francisco on December 1st, and it took just 21 days to reach the entire U.S. Hospitals in several states are filling up as case numbers skyrocket. Now, we haven't seen a hospital surge yet in Oregon or Washington, but we are seeing long lines for COVID tests. This was the scene outside the convention center in Portland today. Many people are getting a test before getting together with family this Christmas. But the variant is leading to canceled and postponed events across the country, including here in Portland. Mike Benner reports tomorrow night's Blazers game is one of them.
A little more than a week before the return of the Jinx and Della holiday show at downtown Portland's Newmark Theater, some sobering news. The show has been canceled. The quickly spreading Omicron variant and several company members testing positive for COVID revealed as the reason why.
The show has canceled its entire tour.
Robin Williams is the executive director of Portland 5 Centers for the Arts. She's hoping the show's cancellation isn't a sign of things to come.
You know, we've just come out of the last 18 months in pretty bad financial shape, you know, having lost all of our business for so long. And things were looking really good for us. We have a lot of shows on the books.
A lot of games are on the books at Moda Center as well, but Thursday night's matchup between the Blazers and the Brooklyn Nets has been postponed. The Nets team has been decimated by COVID. They don't have the league-required 8 players to field a team. The nearby Oregon Convention Center also seeing a cancellation of a trade show in January. President and founder of the Oregon chapter of Live Events Coalition, Dwayne Thomas, speaks of industry fatigue.
The business person in me says, yeah, let's get back to life as normal. I could use the revenue. But the moral person in me says, let's not do that. Let's not make this worse.
And I'm the public health director at Clackamas County.
Philip Mason Joyner appreciates event organizers assessing and evaluating plans. He's encouraging the public to do the same. Holiday gatherings and the Omicron variant can be a dangerous mix.
Yeah, I think keeping your gatherings small is great. To have good communications with one another and just be open and honest about how you're feeling. If someone doesn't feel well, stay home. That's critical.
The same is being asked of people venturing into Portland's many theaters, where at least one show is already canceled. The hope is that the cancellations end there.
Our plan is to keep operating the way that we have with the mask requirements, the vaccination or testing requirements. We feel that right now the evidence says that's good protection for people, that we can continue to do events safely.
Those shows, those NBA games, all things to keep a close eye on. Philip Mason Joyner of Clackamas County Public Health saying that Omicron should peak in January and stay with us through February, if not longer. I'm Mike Benner for KGW News.
Well, this latest COVID surge right around the holidays is certainly emotionally draining. But a University of Washington expert has a message about COVID fatigue.
The problem is that our healthcare system can't handle this. And then the problem that we risk is not necessarily that we can't take care of the people with COVID. It's that we can't take care of the people who have cancer and who have trauma and who have, all those other things, congenital disorders, and who need elective surgery. And it trickles down to all those other things. So it actually is a huge healthcare disaster for everyone, even if you don't have it.
And right now in Washington, about 15% of people in the ICU have COVID. Now that number may feel low, but the State Hospital Association warns this is an alarmingly high level with Omicron now here. Well, the University of Washington is ramping up its COVID precautions. Students will return to remote learning for the first week of the new year. UW says it wants to give people time to check for symptoms and get tested following holiday gatherings. It will also give students more time to get booster shots. Okay, well, it is a busy travel week, and now a winter storm is on the way. ODOT is making preparations for snow. The I-5 at the Oregon-California border is often a trouble spot. Last week, the southbound lanes there were shut down for more than 30 hours at the request of California officials. ODOT has crews on standby in preparation for some snow this week.
It's going to be a struggle. And so we're going to be out there. We're going to keep that highway cleaned and swept as best we can. But we really need the public to be prepared.
Make sure you check road conditions on Trip Check and be sure to have emergency supplies in your vehicle, just in case. All right, the snow has already arrived in the Cascades, that's for sure. Chris, how the pass is looking right now?
Over the last 10 days, they've been getting plastered. Here's a live look right now, Tim, up at Highway 35 near Mount Hood Meadows Drive. You know, it almost looks like you're coming out of hyperspace here, out of Star Wars, right? It's snowing hard. We can see the taillights from a few cars making that trip, but the snow is flying right now in the Cascades. There's a winter storm warning above 4,000 feet for an additional up to 20 inches. That's probably on the high end, but there could be another solid foot and a half of snow at most of the Cascade ski resorts overnight tonight. Here's a live look at Timberline, and you can see the snow flying there as well. So the ski resorts are certainly benefiting out of this. Here's a look at the snowfall potential up at the higher terrain here through Friday. So this is through the day today, through the rest of today and Thursday through midnight. And you can start to see that we get a little snow accumulation late Thursday night or early Friday in some of the highest peaks of the Coast Range. So I want to walk you through that a little bit more as we get closer to our holiday weekend. Friday night, Christmas Eve, I've got snow levels dipping from about 1,500 feet, maybe occasionally lower than that, especially in the Oregon Coast Range. So that means if you're traveling to the coast this weekend, Friday night or say Saturday morning, Christmas morning, you are likely to run into snow there. Saturday, I think the snow level dips to about 1,000 feet. So now we start talking about the higher hills in Portland getting possibly some light accumulating snows. It's possible that we mix wet snowflakes down to the valley floor as early as Saturday, but I think there's a better chance for that as we go into Sunday. Beyond that, we're tracking a whole lot of weather systems, which in addition to the cold air getting even colder in our 7-day forecast, a lot of little weather disturbances are going to slide right along the west coast, and so that will keep us on our toes in terms of trying to nail down when our next chance of low elevation snow is, and I'm going to try to walk you through that coming up in just a few minutes.
Okay, Chris, thanks. Look forward to it. A car prowler shot at a homeowner early this morning as the homeowner chased after the suspect. Fortunately, they were not hurt by that gunfire. The dangerous situation happened in Clark County. Before noon on Wednesday, Clark County Sheriff's deputies were going door to door. They were talking to neighbors around Northeast 165th Avenue and 32nd Street. This is where the sheriff's office says as many as 3 suspects were breaking into cars and where one of them shot at a homeowner who caught them prowling.
There's guy, starts there. There's another one. All right, I think I found
One neighbor named Dan showed us security video from his cameras. You can see a couple of people moving down the street about 15 minutes before the gunshot was fired around 3:30 a.m.
They were basically just walking from one house to the next, just checking doors. And we were sad to see that my neighbor, his door was opened, and then 2 of them rifled through it. And then they just kept on proceeding down. Yeah.
Dan's video shows exactly what happened as one prowler broke into his neighbor Terry's vehicle.
You can see in the car everything scattered all over. I don't know exactly what is missing. I need to check the car documents.
Terry and his family are pretty new to this Clark County neighborhood and not expecting this kind of trouble.
I think I just have to heighten vigilance now, like ensuring the cars were locked. I don't know how they open the car because usually there is an alarm.
But that one of his neighbors was shot at by a car prowler takes everything to the next level.
Involving shots is dangerous. I imagine if someone was outside or if the door was open, they could actually come into the house.
And as deputies continued to gather information in this seemingly quiet neighborhood, Dan hopes the heat gets turned up on criminals.
I feel violated. I feel like that Vancouver's going in the wrong direction right now. And we're allowing and being too permissive on this stuff.
And to that end, if you have any information about the suspects, especially the one who fired the gun, or if you have security video to share, we have information on the detective to contact. That's at kgw.com. Well, Gresham police are asking for your help to find the man accused of murdering a 17-year-old in Portland this past summer. This is 26-year-old Isaac Bynum Jr. Today, the Multnomah Circuit Court issued a warrant for his arrest. The shooting happened on August 24th on Northeast 8th Street and Hood Avenue. Police found the victim about 2 miles away in a car on Southeast 182nd and Division. Police say the 17-year-old named Seneca Alexander had multiple gunshot wounds and he died at the hospital. Washington Governor Jay Inslee has delayed implementing a controversial new long-term care savings law, but some paychecks will still see deductions starting next month. Critics say it's another element of a bad law. Drew Mickelson looks at what could be changing.
A spokesperson for Governor Jay Inslee says state agencies are going to follow the law, even though the governor has told the state's Employment Security Department to hold off on collecting any funds. The state employee deductions will sit in an account until lawmakers figure out what to do with the law. It was passed in 2019 as a way to generate savings to be used after retirement for in-home or nursing home care. But as we got closer to implementation in January, concerns were raised about the law. So leaders here in Olympia decided to hit the pause button to review and potentially reform the law. Senate Majority Leader Andy Billig says some of the changes considered could allow those who live out of state but work in the state to opt out. Those closer to retirement, who currently wouldn't be impacted much, could end up getting more benefits. And right now, you cannot take your savings with you to another state. That, too, could be changed. One element that likely won't, the rate you'll pay, 0.58%. Senator Billig says this is not a bad law, so don't expect it to be thrown out.
Once we got closer to implementation, we got more feedback, and there was a consensus that we should make some changes. So this still makes a lot of sense for Washington State and for all Washingtonians, but we want to make sure we get it exactly right.
And that was Drew Mickelson reporting. Well, Republicans today want lawmakers to come back to Olympia before the new year to make fixes to that bill. That is not expected to happen.